Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Henry's got rid of the first page of my speech already, which is fantastic. I was worried when Aaron asked me yesterday, could I please forward my slides? I won't be using any slides, you'd be glad to hear. So welcome to the Great Hall, as Henry referenced. And if you just pause for a minute, that's the professor's window on your right there, and a professor of geology, 150 years, 200 years, is one of the people present. It's a Harry Clark window. And the back window, if we just turn for a second, I'm going to really disrupt you, because it's really such a beautiful morning. That's the famous other window, and the third from the bottom, on the right, from where I'm looking at, you've got George Boole sitting down scribing at the desk with Plato and others in the background. And you may know we celebrated a whole range of projects in the last year in relation to George Boole. But it's a very special place for people like me, alumnus of the university where I took my first degree and my PhD awarded in this room. So I also did my last examination sitting down around there somewhere. So it's a very special place for us in this university, and hence you are here today, because you are incredibly special to us at University College Cork. So fáilte go Coláiste Hallscoile Corky, fáilte go Corky agus fáilte go Éire, from people that have travelled afar, and that's the Irish for welcome to Cork, welcome to UCC, and particularly for those who've travelled far. Our president has a tradition of saying the greater distance you travel, the greater the welcome. So we welcome you, particularly who've travelled. On a morning that rankings are appearing, it's probably not a good thing to start with. But you know, we have to live in a real world. Some of you, I hope, apart from looking at the very fine ePrePP pull-up that was outside on the Allamax, you might have looked, there was a flag on your left. You may not have seen it. It's a green flag, and UCC is the first green flag campus in the world, and we're ranked in the top 4 in sustainability in the globe. But it isn't a good morning for universities in Ireland. There isn't a single university in the top 200 rankings across in any of our universities, which is very, very grave, and it's a testament to the poor investment that has happened. But you know, I think we can beat ourselves up, and all we need to do is to look in this room and realise actually that while we might talk about rankings at the universities level, in this room we have some of the most talented students and faculty that any university has. And if I reference some examples, if you forgive me for a moment, if I reference my colleagues in nursing, who are in the top 50 QS-ranked nursing schools in the world, 46 I think it is, which is an incredible achievement by any standards. I can talk about my pharmacy colleagues who are in the top 100 in the world in QS rankings, and I can talk about my medical colleagues who are equally up in the top rankings. So while we beat ourselves up about the overall institutional ones, what we are showing incredibly importantly is that at the school level and at the discipline level, and more importantly for the students, that this is something that's important. And why do we worry about rankings? Because I suppose rankings are a crude and blunt instrument to tell us something about research and other metrics, but actually they don't tell us a lot about teaching and learning. And that's one of the real challenges for the future. But enough about rankings. If you do get a chance to go outside and get a chance to walk, we have just launched a new green app, and it's on an Android or iPhone. It'll tell you about the entire green sustainability story. But for the purpose of today, I just want to reference the mission of the entire green sustainability agenda of the university, because I think it's incredibly relevant to what we're going to talk about today and listen today. And the mission is very simple. It's student-led, it's research-informed, and it's practice-focused. Student-led, research-informed, and practice-focused. And I think you could translate the green sustainability agenda, that mantra, into this room today, because here we have a research-informed project, a student-led project, student need, student demand, research-informed and practice-focused. And I think that's incredibly important, and we're very proud of the contributions that have been made in this project. Obviously, the theme of transitions, and I welcome Dr. Terry Maguire, and it's already been extended by Henry, a proud UCC alumnus, and we're very proud to have you, Terry, as one of our alumnus. But the National Forum for the Enhancement of Teaching and Learning identified a whole range of themes, technology, transitions, and a whole range of other areas which are really, really important. And in some ways today we're capturing a number of those dimensions, including transitions, that's the mobility in the university, across into the university, across the university, and across into professionals or into postgraduate study. And more importantly, I guess, is actually it's documenting and evidencing that transition. And also actually it's capturing elements of credentials and elements of reflection. And I think the future is incredibly exciting, notwithstanding some of the funding crisis that we're talking about. And I think those of us in university, those of you sitting down there who will be standing up here in a few years' time leading the universities, are going to see some really interesting patterns emerging. And one of the things that's occupying my mind at the moment is the idea of micro-credentials, the extent to which students and professionals will start collecting elements of learning across the world from different sorts of universities and different sorts of institutions. And the extent to which we can capture those and accredit those at a professional level, either in the university or whatever that might be. What am I talking about? I'm simply saying that if you want to get the best course in the world, you will no longer perhaps immerse yourself in a university. You may go online. You may get a course from anywhere else in the world. But actually what you want to do is to capture those micro-credentials in some way and assemble them into something that will give you a degree or something to that extent, or indeed CPD. And of course the whole notion of capturing that in a portfolio, be it an e-portfolio or otherwise, is something that's emerging as being really important. And we'll hear from John OHalloran later, who will describe that this has been going on for a long, long time, not just in paper, but actually in the electronic sense. So technology will help us to capture, reflect, and also to evidence these kind of micro-credentials, whatever they turn out to be. But I've also read some of the report of the project, and I think what it does face up to a reality. The reality of the education buildings in Ireland, 70% of them are old buildings. If you take the public sector hospital system, many of the buildings are old, or even some are modern, but actually simple things like wireless bring huge challenges to using and accessing technology. We did a study of the survey of the faculty in this university the summer before last on the competency and confidence in terms of technology. Everybody wants to use it, but not everybody is sure of the possibilities or indeed have the competence or the infrastructure to do that. So that's a real challenge for us in terms of what we want to try and do for the future. But we won't be stopped. We won't be stopped because this is too important. And I'd just like to reflect for a moment to say not just from this project are people benefiting, but right across the university today, we are benefiting from ePrePP. Because in my office, together with working with other colleagues in other projects, we're looking at the outputs of this project, looking at the infrastructure that is developing, particularly on professional development for staff. I'm really proud to say that 70% of the faculty in this university have a qualification in higher education and teaching and learning. 70%, the highest in the sector. And in order to get to that final bit, we want to actually evidence the credentials, if you like, and qualifications in a new way, in a reflective practice, but also in terms of a framework, and we want to use e-portfolios in that way. So thank you for those who have been involved in developing this project, because the impact of it goes beyond each of every one of you in the room today, and I believe right across the university. And in some ways we're building on all the great work that has happened in Bologna. We're building on the idea of learning outcomes, we're building on the idea of credentials, we're building on all of this to help us build a new portfolio. Of course, this doesn't happen easily. When the call came out from the National Forum, we organised what I euphemistically referred to as digital dating, where colleagues from across the university had to have 1 minute or 2 minutes to date partners in the council room, which is behind us here, in terms of building capacity and developing ideas and actually building collaborations. Collaborations aren't easy. They require a whole range of capacities to listen, to be open, to be respectful to other disciplines, and also to realise that you're going to learn something. And I'm struck by a great African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We want to go together. We want to go together as professionals. We want to go together as a university. And the only way we can do that is by being respectful, is by being open, is by listening, and is by actually learning from each other. And part of that learning is actually relying on your friends. And Henry referenced that 2 of our speakers have come from Yorkshire, and they are friends, and I'd like to particularly thank Dr. David Pearson, Professor Anne Pete, and Mahendra Patel for coming here today. Because the great thing about friends, and we all know this, friends will tell you the truth. Friends won't hide the criticism. Friends will pat you on the back, but they'll equally, the distance between a pat on the back and a kick in the ass, if I can use that phrase, is very, very little. So friends will tell you where you are doing well, but friends will also tell you where you can improve. So thank you, each of you, for your contribution and being here today, because that's really, really important to you, not just today, but across the project. And I'm specifically referencing Dr. David Pearson, who is recently undergraduate dean of Hull York Medical School and author of a book by Wiley on how to succeed in community placements, and you'll hear more later. Professor Anne Pete, recently Head of Nursing and Pro Vice-Chancellor of Teaching and Learning at the University of Sheffield. And congratulations on your special day, which we won't tell people what that is, but thank you for being here on this special day for you. And Mahendra Patel, Academic Pharmacist and Council Member of the Royal Pharmaceutical Society in the United Kingdom. And we've met before, so it's great to have you all here today. Obviously, this is not possible also with our friends across the institutions, and Henry's already mentioned our colleagues in IT Tralee, medical colleagues from UL and UCD, pharmacy colleagues from TCD, and they're all attending here. And it's what I really struck me is about not only just the presentations today, but the workshops later, and that's really, really important. So it's just final for me to say Cogardicus, which is congratulations, to say Gaurav Mahabud, which is thank you, and to wish you well, because this is a really, really important day for us. And thank you, and have a bit of fun as well. Good morning. Thank you very, very much.